Good day, I'm Ibrahim Jr.
And I'm Miguel Julian APOSTOL III.
Today, we'll be presenting you Türkiye Cumhuriyeti, or the Republic of Turkey. To understand this country well, we must discuss its geographical and historical background and how the former played a big role in shaping Turkey's history and identity. This may take very long, but I promise Turkey is a complicated country, and thus this part is very essential in learning and understanding about this aforementioned country.
But first, we would like to discuss the IEC tool that we use, which is WPS Office. What we like about WPS Office and the reason why we chose it is because it is free. It is much like MS Office but more handy. All its apps are integrated into one window. It also has cloud and a mobile app, and thus you can still work on your document or presentation in your phone or tablet. Now, let's finally move on to Turkey's background.
Thank you, MJ. Now, Turkey is a country with a somewhat identity crisis. Straddling between two continents, some may classify Turkey as a European country, some as Asian, some may even argue if it's Middle Eastern or not. However, since not only Anatolia, the larger part of Turkey's territory is in Asia, but also its capital Ankara, we will classify them as Asian. Its strategic location as a bridge between two continents gave Turkey an economic and political advantage. Thanks to its location, Turkey flourished as they were an important crossroads and destination for traders from both Europe and Asia traversing to the Silk Road during much of the Middle Ages. However, the downside is that Turkey is subjected to several foreign invasions that shaped its history and identity, from the Hittites to Persia's Achaemenid Empire, to Alexander's Macedonian Empire, to the Roman Empire, to the Byzantines, and finally the Ottomans. Of all the empires that ruled over Turkish lands for thousands of years, perhaps two of the most important empires are the Byzantine and the Ottoman empires. Byzantine was created out of the division of the Roman Empire between the West and the East in 395 CE. Whereas the West fell under Germanic tribes with the fall of Rome in 476 CE, the East continued to flourish for another millennium, with Constantinople, present-day Istanbul, as the center of Christendom and the last bastion of the remnants of the Roman Empire. However, like its predecessor Rome, Constantinople would eventually fall on May 29, 1453, under Ottoman hands. The Ottoman Empire would enjoy centuries of prosperity until the 19th century, when the empire gradually declined to the point of being the sick man of Europe. With its tumultuous history, it is no surprise that Turkey is home to various ethnic groups. Of course, the majority bulk of Turkey's population are Turks. Other significant minorities included Kurds, the Armenians, the Greeks, Azeris, Circassians, Arabs, Georgians, Abkhazians, and so much more. Especially the first three, most of these ethnic groups do not get along with the majority Turks. When it comes to religion, of course, 89.5% of Turkey's population are Muslims, of which most of them are Sunnis. 8.9 are surprisingly what I call the nuns, or atheists, agnostics, deists, etc. And the rest include Christians and Jews. We can learn from Turkey the importance of secularism. The secular system led Turkey to the path of modernization in par with its European counterparts and spared the country, at least before Erdogan took power, from becoming their neighbors Saudi Arabia and Iran, two theocratic countries with an appalling justice system and human rights records. It is important, especially in a time today where some governments use religious beliefs to impose laws that deprive or block laws that endow certain demographics of their own basic rights and legal protection. For Turkey, we have this man to thank for the country's secularization. His name is Kemal Mustafa Ataturk, the first president of Turkey after the end of the Ottoman Empire in 1923. Next, we will talk about Turkey's culture and traditions, to be discussed by MJ Apostol. He too will elaborate Turkey's secular system even further.
Thank you, Bem. Now we are going to discuss the traditions, customs, and other things that define Turkish culture. More than 9/10 of the population is Muslim. Nevertheless, Turkey is a secular country. As Bem mentioned earlier, in the 1928 constitutional amendment, Islam was removed as the official state religion, and since that time the state has found itself periodically at odds with religion. The armed forces have maintained a vigilant watch over Turkey's political secularism, which they affirm to be a keystone among Turkey's founding principles. However, Erdogan in power, this might change, with secularism in Turkey at risk, being threatened, reverting the country to Islamism, like the other two Middle Eastern superpowers, Saudi Arabia and Iran, and back to its Ottoman past. Tea is an important part of Turkish culture, and is the most commonly consumed hot drink. Despite the country's long history of coffee consumption, offering tea to guests is a part of Turkish hospitality. Hospitality is a cornerstone of Turkish culture, and Turkish people believe that visitors should be treated as guests sent by God. This attitude has survived to the 21st century and does not appear to have been diminished by mass tourism. It is usual for Turkish people, even the men, to greet each other by kissing on both cheeks. As a tradition, Turkish people treat their national flag as a sacred. Therefore, one should avoid insulting or showing disrespect to the Turkish flag. Every year in June, near Edirne, the one-time Ottoman capital in western Turkey, the Kirkpinar, it is an oil wrestling tournament on the grass. The two oiled wrestlers compete unlike more commonly wrestling formats to pick each up in the air and make their belly face the sky. At the end of Ramadan, it's traditional to sacrifice an animal and donate the meat to the poor. The Adiklik Kurban has become very popular in Turkey, and sacrifices can be made at other times as well. If, for example, you want your daughter to get married or get a good job. In direct disbelief of Islamic traditions, the Nazar Bonkugu, also known as the evil eye, is used in offices, homes, in transports, and businesses. Turks believe this talisman wards off evil in these days, as well as featuring heavily in Turkish culture. It is one of the top recommended souvenirs to buy. In the next part, Bem will talk about the Turkish economy and its struggles and how they manage to solve their problems.
Thank you, MJ. Turkey nowadays has been facing an economic crisis since 2018. The Turkish currency, the lira, surrendered more than 3% of its value against the dollar in early trading in Asia before slightly recovering. The drop followed Erdogan's abrupt dismissal of the nation's central bank governor on July 2019. Global investors absorbed the sacking as a signal that Erdogan is intent on recklessly lowering interest rates to accelerate economic growth, like a debt-saturated homeowner who resorts to a second mortgage rather than accepting a budget. Turkey's currency remains battered while its foreign debts remain vast. Inflation and joblessness are alarmingly high, economic growth is minimal, and anxiety considerable amid the sense that more trouble lies ahead. This is playing out as Turkey contends with political uncertainty after the shocking rebuke of Erdogan's ruling party in the recent Istanbul mayoral election. A president with a reputation for ignoring unpalatable facts or thrashing those who wield him now appears at the mercy of forces he cannot command: international markets. According to most economists, the solution is that Erdogan must accept interest rates above the now stultifying level of 24% to dissuade investors from abandoning Turkey. That should prevent the lira from falling further, limiting inflation, but it would also deprive businesses of capital, yielding bankruptcy and joblessness, while constraining economic growth.
Turkey is considered one of the great environments for learning. The country is second in the world in higher education with 94.2 schooling rate. Turkey is involved in European higher education area in implementing the Bologna process in a perfect way. There are thousands of historical and cultural monuments in Turkey which are protected as UNESCO cultural heritage. No matter which one of the 207 universities you go to, you will experience a modern convenient campus life, equipped with the latest technology. The Philippines can improve the educational system, where the only rich people can go to universities and poor people are left behind. Consider our monuments and the beauty of the country be preserved as an asset of the Republic of the Philippines. Make our school be student-friendly but globally competitive. Move forward with the world. Don't let your people be left behind.
And that concludes our presentation. Çok teşekkür ederim. Thank you very much.